Since 2000, since 2001, I have dedicated my work in the community, presenting on financial literacy topics to inform consumers, but especially older adults, on recognizing the warning signs of financial, investment, and mortgage foreclosure fraud and scams, while empowering consumers of all ages to make informed financial decisions. My area is throughout the Los Angeles County region, okay? So that's just a little bit about myself, and we're going to just go ahead and get started, and I'll tell you some about the department. Next slide, please.
Okay.
Strat.
Yes.
Okay, next slide. Okay, there we go. So who is the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation? And throughout this presentation, I'm definitely not going to be saying that the whole time. I'm going to shorten it by saying the DFPI, but you may have heard of us. We are formally the Department of Business Oversight. Our mission is the same. We just have a new name, thanks to Governor Newsom. We are a state regulatory and licensing agency with oversight of state financial institutions, products, and professionals, such as state chartered banks and credit unions, California financial lenders. Those of us who own homes, you know that you need a financial lender to do the transaction. Your escrow agents, we license and regulate them. Those of us who own the homes and we pay our mortgages to our mortgage servicers, we license and regulate them. We also license student loan servicers, payday lenders, you know, those facilities where you can go and get the money real quick. We license and regulate them. Those of us who are thinking about doing or have done home improvements, we license PACE, which is the financing program that's being solicited through contractors, and a host of others. So basically, if you are dealing with a financial product professional or institution, we most likely register them. And then we also have state and federal compliance. We review all the complaints that come into our office. We pursue legal actions for those doing abusive, deceptive, and unscrupulous business practices. So that's one of the main reasons why we do what we do. You know, I go around, like I said, Southern California, providing financial literacy presentations, mostly about trending frauds and scams and how to prevent yourself from becoming a victim, because millions are falling prey to frauds and scams. That's why it is more important than ever to learn how to safeguard your personal and financial information. Strat, next slide. So what I'm going to talk about today have been known as common scams, which you may have heard that term. And then the newer name is now pandemic-inspired scams, because a lot of new plus old scams have come into play. And why? Because it puts consumers in vulnerable financial situations. Since the pandemic, scams are more frequent and more sophisticated. But the commonality is the sole purpose of giving access to your personal and financial information. So let's talk about some of the scams that I have on the screen here today. And this is what we're hearing that's trending the most, okay? And as an outreach speaker, I hear about some of the scams that seem to be the trend, but let's get into it. So I don't know how many people have heard of or have received that phone call, grandma, it's me, you know, I'm in trouble. Please don't call mom and dad. You know, I've been arrested. My friends and I were doing whatever. And the officer is asking for money right away before, so that I don't get arrested. Any phone call that we get, of course, is a frightening call, but we have to stop, take a moment, and do our homework. So the call goes on to say, you know, hey, grandma, I'm going to let you speak to the arresting officer, and he's going to tell you what you need to do so that I don't get arrested and go to jail. please, please, please send the money. Of course, the caller is, frantic and, in of urgency that you get the money. They may instruct you to pay by phone, maybe a credit card, maybe give them your routing number to your checking account. But what we're also hearing about is asking you to go to like maybe Walmart and go get a Visa card, come back and scratch the name, the number, the back off and provide the number. So ladies and gentlemen, please, 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 before you do anything, verify your information. Make sure that the individual who is posing as a relative or a grandchild is not in harm's way. We've had instances where people in the audience have been sitting next to their grandchildren and received this phone call or called to verify and everything was okay. So the bottom line, please do your homework before you do anything. And these calls seem to come like in the middle of the night or real late. And sometimes, we're so sleep and you get that frightening phone call, we act right away. But I implore to you, please don't give out the name. Don't say, Jackie, is that you? What's happening? You've given the name, so they'll continue to go on with the scam. Okay, so let's talk about credit cards. And I know everybody on the line knows the difference between a credit card and a debit card. You might receive a phone call that says that there's been a large purchase made on your credit card, maybe in a different state, and we just want to verify that you made the purchase. Please provide your credit card number. Hold on. Stop and think. The call came to you, and if you know you did not use your card, don't provide the information. That call can come on the phone. It can tell you to press 1, press 2 to be activated to the caller. Don't press anything. Hang up the phone. Financial relief. Again, this pandemic has put a lot of people in a financial bind, and so you'll get phone calls, investment opportunities. Maybe you need to consolidate, maybe you need to do a modification. We got buy now, pay later, so people have been shopping and online and not paying the bill right away, so you got the buy now, pay later. Maybe I can lower your APR, and the list goes on and on. Please don't allow a phone call to have you to do something without verification, number one. Number two, don't allow the investment opportunity or whatever opportunity it is, allow you to move fast because you may be in a bind. And what we're also seeing is that these opportunities, sometimes they'll ask you for advance payments. I could do a modification. I can guarantee you that you're going to get it. All you have to do is pay $500 up front and I'll take over the rest and handle everything for you. Well, if I can pay $500 to you to handle a modification, I would be paying my mortgage. So we need to stop and think. These are things that are red flag signs to us, okay? That IT help, if you see unusual pop-ups or get a screen locked on your computer, disconnect from the internet and shut down your device. Pop-ups are often used by criminals to spread malicious software. So if your computer starts going crazy, get off of it immediately. And you may receive a phone call with somebody saying, hey, your computer has just been taken over or your computer has been hacked. Well, how would you know that? Okay, that's first and foremost, especially if I wasn't on the computer to begin with. So secondly, let's start remembering these phone calls are coming to us. We're not initiating them. That is the big red flag sign right there. Just shut it down. Call the Geek Squad, call your children, call your grandchildren. These kids know how to fix these computers and work an iPhone. So go to them, go to the source yourself. Government imposters are rampant. So hi, I'm calling from the delinquent department of DFPI. and your services are going to be shut off right away by 5 p.m. today if you don't make the payment right now. We'll take check over the phone, we'll take a credit card number, but your services will be discontinued. I'm giving you a courtesy call, to let you know that by 5 p.m., your services are going to be shut off if you don't pay right now, okay? First and foremost, the government doesn't call you, especially to remind you that your bill is late or delinquent. Let's start with the fact that you're going to get it in the mail. DWP will mail it, and it will say pay immediately, pay right now, delinquent, something past due is going to be stamped on the bill from you receiving it in the mail. Never a phone call. That's a hang up. IRS, and sometimes I know most of us probably have the caller ID, and sometimes these caller IDs will show Internal Revenue Service or maybe a bank that you frequent. Please, please, that's called spoofing. The IRS don't have time to call people who are late paying their taxes or late making the payment, or you need to make arrangements. They're not calling you. A government agency is not going to do that. Same thing with Social Security. If you receive a phone call saying that your Social Security number is frozen, of course I'm panicking, but what does that actually mean? So you go to the source. Never press 1 to connect the call, and don't believe the number that they're asking you to call back, okay? Go to the source yourself. Financial institutions. Now, this is, to me, the far most that's happening with people now. Financial institutions, you may see, like I said, on your phone viewer, ABC Bank, and yep, I bank with ABC Bank. I've been a customer for many, many years. I'll get the phone call, hi, is this Miss Wiley? Yes, it is. Who's calling? How can I help you? Well, this is ABC Bank, and I just want to thank you for being such a valued customer. I see that you've been a member for over 20 years. Well, I'd like to applaud you on that. But today I'm giving courtesy calls to all our members because we're wanting to verify information because we're updating our records. Well, let's start with, can you verify your Social Security number? Can you verify your account number? First of all, if I have been a customer for so many years, don't you think that they should have that information? And what have I been saying? The call came to you. You didn't initiate the phone call. So these are just some of the scams that we're hearing, and they're cold calls, but I don't want to stop there because the scammers don't. So let's talk about some cyber frauds and internet scams. Thank you, Strap. So phishing, and smishing. You probably saying, what in the world is that? These are just new names that look cute, sound better. Phishing, and smishing are all methods of identity theft and financial frauds that differ in how scammers contact us. So phishing is voice phishing, and it's through phone, robocalls, and voice messages. Phishing is contacting you via email. Smishing is contacting you through text messages, and they always want you to click here or call this particular number. But this is the commonality here. They create a sense of urgency and tries to get you to act or take action with a single goal in mind. Again, what is that? To steal your money and to steal your personal information. So we want to be mindful of things like this. And I want to start showing some examples so that you can understand what I'm talking about and what people are seeing and what's happening. Next slide, please. So let's take a look at this letter. Is this real or fake? This is an email that someone received, and logo looks great, looks like the Bank of America logo. But the problem here is that if you take a closer look at it, There's an abundance of errors throughout the letter, okay? Let's start with the recipient. Let's look at the email. Remember, it's very important to hover over the links to confirm the email. Look at the extensions of all emails that you receive, and it just doesn't make any sense. And on the second paragraph, it's pointing to how this person hovered, and that is a false email, but they hovered over it and found that out. So just because the logo looks official, please read through it. But if you're not expecting anything, don't respond. Go to the source yourself. Go and call Bank of America if that's who you do business with. Okay, next slide. Here are some examples of the text messages. So up in the top left corner, we have identified some unusual activity on your online banking. Please log in, and then they give you this link to secure your account. Hold up. Before you log into that message, please delete it. Go to the source yourself. Again, a very nervous, fearful email, okay? If they've identified unusual activity on your online banking, stop and think, was I doing any activity on my online banking? Nope, I wasn't. Let me call my financial institution to find out what is going on. Never click on the link that they're asking you to do that. We're seeing a lot of people thinking about they're getting a gift. Your parcel is arriving, tracking here. This tracking has nothing to do with DHL on the bottom left. So stop and think, what am I receiving? Did I order anything? I'm not expecting a package. That may be followed up with another email, maybe a phone call, offering you something and, saying that they're sent you something for free. Please, track it and receive it. If you know you didn't order nothing and you're not expecting nothing, delete that. Let's talk about this one at the top right. So Chase Bank. Yep, maybe I do bank at Chase. Your card is temporarily locked. Please call, and they provide a number. This is one of those SMS, we call them, short messaging services. It's just a short message to get your attention, to act quickly. Like I said, urgency, sense to move quickly. Oh my God, my card is locked. What's happening? Let me call this number. Remember that Jackie from the DFPI said, delete it and call your bank. Go to the source yourself. The blue box. This is a message, again, an SMS text message that's telling you that they're asking you whether you did a Zelle transaction. So, we have ways to transfer money from one person to another or to our financial institutions. We have Zelle, we have Venmo, we have Cash App, we have PayPal. All of those, we license and regulate the transactions the way they go. If I were to get a text message asking me about a transaction, and please reply yes or no, let me stop for a second. Stop and think to yourself, first of all, when you do a transaction, for example, we're all out to dinner, and I'll say, hey, I'm going to put the bill on my credit card, and you guys can just pay me in cash. Some people will say, let me Zelle you, let me Cash App you my portion. What did I just say? Let you Cash App me. Let me Zelle you. I have to do the transaction. So if I get something like this and you didn't do the transaction, that is definitely a scam to get your personal information. Then it's telling you to reply yes or no. Don't even do that. There have been instances, and it's been on the news, with a young lady who replied no. Immediately after she pressed the no, her phone rang, and it says, a person was imposter, saying that he was from her bank, and we noticed that you got an email and you replied that you didn't do this transaction. Let me further check your account. Please provide and verify your information. While she was on the phone to that bogus imposter from the said financial institution, his partner, while he was saying the information out loud, was draining her account. Don't reply yes or no. Just delete it. If you have questions, and of course you should, you go to the source, to your financial institution, and verify. Okay? Don't believe the message or the messenger. Next slide, please. So yeah, the romance scams. Older adults are excited to be a part of this modern technology, especially since the pandemic. People became lonelier, were more isolated. And so, welcome the attention, whether it was through a phone call, but now I'm on Facebook. I can visit with my family and my friends, and I can see them and I can check on them. So now, these are all online interactions. Okay. So let's just start. And then now I'm so lonely. I want a companion. So maybe I'll go on a dating app. I'm on social media now. Maybe I can find somebody that way, or any other website, which always involves scammers. Okay. So dating websites, social media, can form fake romantic relationship with victims in order to manipulate them and take their money. Payments now being in the form of cryptocurrency and gift cards. Okay, you met somebody online, he's wooing you, you're beautiful, I want to meet you, blah blah, starts professing his love, and then you're like, well, hey, I wish that I can see you, don't your phone have FaceTime? And these are true stories that I'm hearing from other consumers. And the caller said, my phone is so old, I don't have FaceTime on this phone. No problem. Maybe I'll just send you the money so that you can buy you an upgraded phone, and we can FaceTime each other. Well, let's take our conversation off of this site so that it just be you and I. These are all manipulative ways to get you isolated so that this romantic relationship can spun into them asking you for money. So I want to also just say this. A recent report from the FBI, Internet Crime Complaint Center, reports more than 3,000 Californians fell victim to online romance scams last year, losing a total of nearly $184 million, and it's still climbing. The most vulnerable to fall victim are people over the age of 60. So come on, you have to be mindful. If you're on Facebook, you only DM people that, you want to look at your page. If you're on a dating app, remember, scammers look on social media all the time, and stop saying too much online. Okay. And I'm going to talk about that now. So don't pay to find love. You might find yourself in financial shambles. You can meet somebody offline. Okay. Next slides, Strat. So let's talk about some cyber safety. So online banking photo, we use our cell phones, we provide our PIN numbers, all the time when we're online doing business, doing transactions. You need to treat your PIN numbers like your social security number, like your Medicare card. You need to be mindful that that information is out there. But let's talk about how do I know it's being safe. The top picture, we all know that the internet is harmful and it's helpful. So are you aware that that S after HTTP should be there, which means secure? Are you aware that there should be a closed lock in the URL site, which means secure? So when you're doing your online banking or shopping online, please look for those things so that you know that you're on a secure site. And let's also talk about the fact that don't always click into the sale or the email that comes to you, from Nordstrom's, from Macy's, from whatever. Go to the site yourself so that you know that you're going to Amazon.com, C-O-M, and not Amazon.con, C-O-N, because that is what we call bogus and copycat websites, and that has been very prevalent. Young lady made a transaction, did some shopping at Amazon, and the minute we do our shopping online, you're going to get the email confirming, yep, thank you for your order. We will send you an email when your shipping is ready to depart our location. She gets the email, but what it said was, I'm sorry, there's been a problem with your transaction. Could you please re-enter your information? And she said, oh my gosh, so she did it. But she didn't pay attention to the extension of that email that popped up on her phone. It was Amazon.con, C-O-N, instead of C-O-M. So it's important for us to go to the source ourselves, and don't always believe the email is coming from said individual. Let's talk about a two-step verification. I know a lot of us, and I include myself, maybe old school. What's a two-step verification? It is an extra layer of protection when we're using our laptops, when we're using our cell phones. When you log on to your online banking, if you got that two-step verification, it's going to send you a code. And when you type in that code, those numbers, it's verifying that it's you that's logging on. So think about getting the two-step verification, that extra layer of protection, okay? Some of us don't wanna do it. So when you don't wanna do it, just be mindful about your passwords. Start changing your passwords more frequently. Maybe use a passphrase. Let's come away from the standard. Oh, it's my daughter's birthday, my anniversary, my baby was born, this or that. Just, common passwords. Maybe do phrases. I love roses, with some exclamation points and some numbers, and then write it down so that you can remember them, okay? When you're doing any transactions or logging in from your computer or from your phone, remember to log out, to sign out. Don't just close the app, sign off, okay? Remember to do this. And let's talk a little bit about this limit our personal information. Come on. I know you're happy that you're on the internet, that you're on Facebook and you have communication, there's Instagram and there's all of this stuff. People, we don't need to know. We're happy that you're going on vacation. You've been looking forward to it for a long time, but you don't need to put on Facebook leaving for Hawaii on September 23 and returning on October 1. You don't need to put that. That's too much information, and it can open up a can of worms for a surprise possibly when you get home. So just be mindful of the things that I have been saying, pertaining to keeping your information safe. And please remember that if you have not initiated the call, be skeptical of anybody calling you and asking you for personal information. Strat?
Jackie, thank you very much. That's really great information, especially, being that we now spend so much time online. It's really important to be safe. The amount of information that we share online, how we secure our passwords online, and our accounts. One thing that I always like to share with folks, it's always good to open an online account, whether it's for your banking account or your utilities or whatever account. That way you can see in real time what's happening with your accounts, as opposed to waiting for your statement in the mail to come. So Jackie, if I were to ask you, there's a lot of information you shared, a lot of great tips that you provided. If there were three big things, what would those be for us to take away?
Well, let's talk about what can I do? What can you all do to keep your to safeguard your information? Like I said, don't answer the phone. Why are you answering an unknown caller? Who is that? I get that call every single day. I don't know an unknown caller, so I just let it go to voice message or the person will hang up. And if you do get it and they start talking real fast and asking you for personal information, and nowadays they may act like they know you. Hi, is this Jackie? Is this Miss Wiley? Who is this? So please just hang up if you don't recognize the number. Let it go to voicemail, okay? Remember, if you did initiate the call and they're asking you some personal stuff, you need to terminate the call immediately because you don't know who is really on the other line, okay? I don't care whether it's an institution, an organization that you recognize. If you're not expecting a call, if you didn't initiate, just hang up the call. Verify that there is an issue before you call back that number. Respond to that text. Go to the source yourself. If you got a phone call about your Social Security card or about a transaction that was made on your credit card, a financial institution calling because there's a problem, go to verify the issue by going to the source. And never give out your personal information. Be cautious about those links sent via text messages. I talked about that earlier. Just delete them, and go to the source. Those of us who still write checks, and I am one of them, I don't always have automatic withdrawal to pay all of my bills. Every now and then I will write a check, but I have to let you know that there are still individuals who still mail. If you have your bill written out via check and you put it in your box, waiting for the mailman to come and pick it up, be mindful, that it can be stolen. So let's talk about how we can prevent that. When someone steals your check, there's a solution that they can use to check wash the information off your check. So if I'm paying Macy's $50 and someone steals it and check washes it, they can make that 50 500, and then they can put Jackie Wiley on the check. And then it's going to be good. The bank is going to honor it because your signature is still there. So you can get an anti-fraud pin, and you can get them at Office Max, Staples, Walgreens, and it will say either check washing prevention or anti-fraud pin on the packet. So if you're still writing checks, I'm suggesting that you use one of those. And monitor and freezing our credit. Some of us haven't pulled our credit or looked at our credit report in years. We need to do it at least once a year annually. You can get it free. But if you want to be due diligent about it, you can order it from Experian in September, Equifax in January, every 3 months if you want to stay on top of that. And let's just say this, you know that you're not going to open up no new credit. You're not going to get a new home, buy a new car. You can put the freeze on your credit. You don't have to, God forbid, wait for identity theft or something to happen for the Bureau to do it. Put it on there yourself. And if you need to remove it, you just do so by contacting them to place the freeze. I have it on my mother. She's 80. She's not getting anything new. Placing a freeze on our credit will alleviate someone who has stolen our information and applying for new credit in our name. It will protect that. But for our current credit, it doesn't protect it. So that's why we have to be doing our due diligence. So these are just some things that we can do to help safeguard our personal information, Strat.
Thank you. So give us the bottom line about what are some of the top 3 things that we can do based on all the information you've shared today.
Now, everybody don't already heard this. Number 1, trust your instincts. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Number 2, never give out your personal information unless you initiated the contact, regardless of what the phone viewer says. Okay. Number 3, always go to the source yourself.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And Jackie, if folks still have questions after today's conversation and they do want to get in touch with yourself or your department, can you tell us how they can reach you?
So if you haven't heard of our department, the brief overview that I provided today, we have a lot of information and resources on our website, which is bullet number 1. We have helpful links and up-to-date information about laws protecting consumers. So go to our website if you are unfamiliar with us, okay? And then we contacting our consumer services office. This is a toll-free number, and that's 866-275-2677. And I love saying this, we have live in-person representatives. You don't have to press 1, press 2, wait on hold for 20 minutes before somebody comes on. We have translation services in dozens of languages, and we never ask a person for their immigration status. By calling our toll-free number, we can help you verify the license status of a financial institution, service, or professional that you're thinking about doing business with. But I'm imploring that you call us before you start engaging in business, okay? Provide consumers with information on how to file a complaint against one of our licensees. If it's not within our jurisdiction, we will get it to the appropriate regulatory agency to handle the complaint for you, okay? You can always email us if you have a question at Ask DFPI. This book on the right-hand side is our Pride and Joy, Protect Yourself from Fraud. We have it in English and in Spanish right now. We have other languages forthcoming. Inside this book, it talks about the different types of scams, some of which I named today. It has a comprehensive resource guide, because sometimes we just really don't even know who to call, what agency handles this, who should I call, bouncing around. We have a resource guide in that book with the name of the agency, how you can contact them, and the responsibility of what they handle. But to save faith, just call our toll-free number and we will get you to the appropriate place. We're always looking to bring awareness and request presentations. If you know of a group or a network, don't hesitate to contact me by emailing the outreach link up there. And we also have a monthly newsletter. It's our DFPI Connection, and it talks about consumer alerts and frauds and scams, and can help consumers stay in the loop with relevant state and federal news. So you can sign up there. And of course, you can always follow us on social media, and we're on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Strat, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jackie. That's really great information. I particularly like that folks can reach you at this at your consumer service line, where they can actually talk to somebody just to figure out what's going on. Before we go to questions, I do want to share with folks on here today that we have some great upcoming events with Jackie and her colleague at the department, where we're having what we call Scam Chat Wednesdays. Our next one will be on August 24th, where we'll be talking about investment frauds and scams. And then on August 31st, we'll be talking about financial empowerment. You can visit the website, as you see on your screen, to register for those events, and you can join and bring your questions about those types of frauds and scams. And Jackie and us will do our best to answer them. If you do have a question ahead of time related to those two events, feel free to email your question to us at conversations@aarp.org. And then we will definitely try to find answers for you, and then join us during the day of our events, and we'll provide those answers to those questions. I am going to stop sharing now and come to folks and see whether we have any questions for Jackie. Anybody have any questions? Oh, Jackie, there's one question here in chat from, I believe it's B Kid. How do I get the book?
You can email me at the outreach, I never know it by heart. You can send me an email at outreach@dfpi.ca.gov, G-O-V, okay?
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. Do we have any other comments or questions? Just looking in chat here.
Hey, Strat,
Yes.
there was a question someone asked about the presentation. They said, would it be possible to get this in English and Spanish or a presentation to another group?
Can you repeat that, Anton?
Sure. The person was asking if it's possible to get this presentation done in Spanish as well as English, and then is it possible to even, I guess, request this presentation for another group?
You can certainly request it for another group, and we do have one of another outreach specialist does do Spanish presentations. Okay, and I just want to make a correction. It's outreach at DFPI, not CFPI. D like David. Mhm.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And Jackie, I really like the that you touched upon the fake websites, and I think that's particularly important as we soon we'll be heading into the holiday seasons, and many of us will be doing our shopping on Amazon and so forth. And can you talk a little bit again about the importance of making sure that the websites that we look at are really the genuine websites, and how we can make sure that those websites are genuine as opposed to fake websites that get you to click on them by enticing you with prices that are too good, or something's wrong with your account?
Absolutely. Again, remember, go to the website yourself. So if I'm going to go to Macy's, I know it's Macy's.com. Okay, I want to check it in the URL. I don't want to respond all the time to the Macy's emails that come to me, and then I'm perusing, the items that are on sale. Go to Macy's.com, go to the source yourself. And don't forget to look for the S after HTTPS for secure. Also the closed lock. It's either at the top in the URL or at the bottom of your screen. I want to also add this, because scammers are so good at what they do, and we are shopping. Instead of using my debit card, I'm going to use a credit card. It's easier to get your money back. God forbid something gets picked up and the credit card is more protective. And on top of that, think about purchasing a Visa card, and put your spending money for the holiday on that instead of using your personal. You know what I mean? Yes.
Good points there, Jackie. Well, I'm going to invite Kim, if you're comfortable, to come off mute and tell us about, you put a comment in chat about telling your mother to stop answering the phone. Would you like to share a little bit more with us about that? Do we still have Kim?
She's on mute. Kim, you're on
Hi.
mute.
There you
Hi,
go,
Kim.
Kim.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Hi, fantastic. First of all, thank you. I wanted to mention to the presenter, everything that you've been mentioning is just spot on as it relates to the people relying on their instincts. I worked in the technology field for the last 20 years, relying on their instincts and also hanging up. Most powerful thing you can do is hang up and dare somebody to call you back who's a fraudster, and have them, and listen to them talk, get an answer machine, as you said. My mother has recently had a stroke. I'm taking care of both my mom and dad, 87 and 84. And dementia is an issue, obviously, for older folks, and delirium as well. So what I'm finding is that she, in the middle of the night, is trying to get up to do her taxes, which she hasn't done for 10 years because I've been doing them, or things like that. So the impulse to be present and to make decisions is something that older people want to do a lot. And I find that I think she's, even though I'm with her, she's lonely. and wants that communication or conversation, as I'm sure you can understand. So she runs to the phone. And when I mean run, she just grabs it real quick, right? And hello, hello. And what I tried to explain to her is that if there's a delay, it's usually a computer that's going to try and act like a person. I work on that technology, so I know what I'm talking about. And if you don't give them a human voice, then they don't know. The other thing that's very important, and that's why I like for what you say about just don't answer the phone. There are technologies that if you answer the phone, they literally are just calling you to make sure someone's home. They clock the time, they put it in a database, and there are international criminal schemes that are worldwide, that come in and cast on neighborhoods. That it's not individualistic, it's neighborlistic, if you will. And what they do is they, based on the times, if this whole block, if most of the people are out during the day or they work or what have you, they know this based on the habits of you answering the phone, period. So you don't answer the phone. Hopefully, you know, you are hearing other reasons why not to answer the phone, but that is just the best thing that you could tell them. And I say also to those who are listening who have elders, you have to take either the phone off the hook or put the volume down so they can't hear it ring or something like that, which is what I'm having to do, because they're not trying to go against what you say. They can't remember. They can't remember yesterday. They can't remember 5 minutes ago, let alone I told you last night. So I'm learning the hard way to not ask your 87 and 84-year-old parents to help you, but think about the fact that they have an 87 and 84-year-old brain. I just got to that yesterday. And I'm like, hello, dummy. I'm the young one. I'm 56. I'm supposed to remember that my parents are 87 and 84. And they've been taking care of you all this time. So now you got to take care of them. And you can't ask them to do or not do. They will agree and forget. And so we have to hold them in our arms, hug them up, love them up, and then put extra locks on the doors anyway. Thank you so much, you all. I really appreciate what you've been doing.
Thank you, Kim.
One other thing I want to say is that the technology is so fierce of what we're dealing with. My mom was saying, well, it's no big deal if I just answer the phone. I'm not going to say anything. Answering the phone with a human voice says more than you or I can think of, because we're not criminals. They figured out just how to figure out if you're home. Like they call every day, multiple times a day, and it's a machine that's clocking it. So I can't underscore that enough, because my parents, they can't understand that someone to keep calling. And I keep telling them it's not a someone, it's a computer calling. And if you allow it to call and you don't answer, eventually it will block your number, take your number out of its circulation, because they're not getting any hits. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. And Kim, let me say thank you very much for sharing that story, and sorry to hear what is happening with your mother. And thank you for being a caregiver to her. Really appreciate that, and you sharing your story. It helps other folks as well. I know Dee's had a hand up, so I'm going to transition really quick to Dee. I think she also wants to share something with the few minutes we have left. Please, Dee, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you for this great presentation. This was really eye-opening and informative for me, for my mom, even information that I can tell my daughter who's in her 20s, because it's not just older people who might, be susceptible to this. It can be anyone. But also there are plenty of older adults who, who do understand and who maybe are not suffering from dementia, but still these things are happening, and it's good for all of us to be aware of. So thank you so much for sharing this. I'm going to be sharing this information with my daughter as soon as we're finished with this. So thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll take one more question from B Kid.
Good morning, everybody. This was excellent. My name is Bridget Kidd. Jackie, we got to have you. I don't know where you're based. We got to have you come out to USC and talk to our parents. We have Daryl, who's on the call too. We work with the community, and we had a parent frauded by that first thing you spoke about. Somebody called her and said it was her. Daryl knows the niece or something, and she sent the money. But thank God we have a support group that somebody else, she sent money that was her rent money. So we had another business organization, nonprofit help, but she had to do a police report. So we ran into problems with police reports because everything is kind of closed, and that's like a bottom of the tier trying to get a report, right? It's not an active crime. It's not like you're in harm's way. It happened already. So that's where we were. So there is some more questions that we have about if it happens, the next steps, right? But I really appreciate you sharing. There's some things I didn't even know, and I try to stay on top of it. I'm in tech as well, or have been. But yeah, we got to figure out how we can get you there, along with, we have quite a few Spanish speaking parents, and just to have you in a number of hubs that we have throughout. SC is expanding. So to just have you in some of our communities doing these workshops. We're not all seniors, but I think because we've been in COVID, a lot of them are new to technology. So you're not aware. You think, it's okay to get a text saying, hey, thank you for paying your AT&T bill. Let's give you a prize, right? What? When did you start this, right? So those are the latest ones, right? So I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you, and this was great. And Kim, I'm sending you all this love in my heart to be working with your parents, because both of mine are gone. Stay patient, and you seem like you have it already. So I appreciate you sharing that, and to know that they have you is wonderful, because we all have to be a community to be able to help each other. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you so much, especially about that neighborhood thing. When you said that, they got all of us. I was like, what? And now it kind of makes a little bit more sense, So it's, yeah. So I really want to, if I can put my email in there, Kim, you can reach out to me when you have time, because I know you're busy. And I just wanted to let you guys know on behalf of us, we really appreciate it. Daryl smiling here. I always wait for him to do the lead and talking. I'm like, I can't hold it no more. I gotta let it out. So
thank you very much, Bridget. Really appreciate those comments, and thank you everybody for being with us today and for sharing your stories. And a special thank you really to Jackie. I know Jackie has to rush, so let me hand it over to her for any closing thoughts or comments.
Well, I'm gonna start with Kim. Thank you so much for sharing, because sometimes people don't want to come on camera to share their stories, and it's very hard to to monitor older adults, when they have some kind of cognitive impairment or whatever the case may be going on. So you're doing a wonderful job, and know that you are not alone. And B-Kid, thank you so much for the invitation. And girl, yep, I'm right out here in Los Angeles. I'm very close, Daryl. So, okay, so I went ahead and put my email in the chat. So Kim wanted me to share it as Jackie, JACKIE .Wiley, WILEY at DFPI.ca.gov, GOV. Okay. I just want to thank you all for being here, and remember, like we were saying earlier, and someone did, I think Dee said it, anybody is susceptible to becoming a victim of financial and personal fraud. So we have to be on our P's and Q's as best we can. They're always one step ahead of us, but with presentations like this and what Strat also talks about, remember, if you're not educated, you're not going to know. So one that's educated is less likely to become a victim of fraud. Okay, so thank you all for being here and for your great comments and questions.
Thank you, everybody. And if you want to hear more from Jackie and her department, join us on Wednesday during our Scam Check Wednesdays. You'll have more time to ask her all the questions that you have. But with that, Antoine, I know we're at time, so let me hand it back to you, and thank you for the opportunity to share about fraud prevention education with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Strat. Thank you as well, Jackie, and the great information that was shared this morning. Appreciate everyone being here this morning. As Strat mentioned, we want to be very conscious of time. We're, scheduled to be here for an hour. Just to let you know, one of the reasons we did record this session is so that we can put it on our AARP California YouTube page, as well as for those of you who are Soul Steppers, we will put the recording also in our Soul Steppers Facebook page, our private group. So it'll be in those two. Well, you won't be able to get to it unless you're a Soul Stepper if you're not in the for the Soul Stepper page, but it'll be public on our YouTube page, AARP California. We'll try to send out a message to everyone who joined us this morning to let you know, as well as those who are registered. And that's why for some of you, I dropped a little note in the chat to you. I want to make sure that I get your name correctly, so that we can make sure we get that identified as well. So if there are no more questions, then appreciate your time all this morning. Thank you, Strad. Thank you, Jackie, again. And have a great rest of your day, everyone. We'll be back with another, keep an eye on your email, legitimate emails, right? From AARP California about the next workshop that we'll have for our Soul Steppers. All right. Thanks, everybody.
God bless.
Bless
God
you.
bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.